Hi everyone. Number 5. The Famine Stella of Egypt. The Famine Stella is an ancient Egyptian black granite steel-yard obelisk erected by Pharaoh Ramses III over 3,000 years ago. It was originally placed at the entrance of a temple dedicated to Amun at Karnak. Today, it stands in the courtyard of the nearby Luxor Museum. The steel yard, nearly 29 feet tall, features a number of significant hieroglyphic inscriptions detailing some of ancient Egypt's greatest triumphs. However, there is one particularly striking warning that is becoming increasingly relevant to modern viewers. Carved into the base of the monument is a depiction of a withered fig, a shriveled grape bunch, a wilted flower, and an empty granary with shattered grain measures. The meaning is clear. This was a warning about what would happen if anyone ever tampered with the carefully regulated supply of grain to the masses. In other words, a reminder to stay away from our food or else. But the meaning goes much further than that. For many Egyptologists, the Famine Stella may be one of the first pieces of evidence for the social contract between rulers and the ruled. It warns that if the pharaoh does not maintain Ma'at or cosmic order, then his people will rise up and take action. In the days of Ramses III, there were frequent revolts and rebellions throughout the empire, which he put down violently. Though this steel yard was likely intended to serve as a reminder of what could happen again if the people turned against him, it also emphasizes the importance of justice, order, and balance. The message here is that while the pharaoh has the divine right to rule, he must do so fairly and justly. His authority depended on his ability to uphold Ma'at, both for the benefit of the kingdom and for his own survival. And though it seems obvious today that leaders should treat their people well, this idea was revolutionary back then. From this single steel yard, we can see the evolution from autocratic rule to constitutional government. Even though the Famine Stela was created over 3,000 years ago, its warnings still ring true today. Leaders who abuse their power and ignore the needs of their people do so at their own peril. Number 4. The Korean Sila tomb warnings. Back in 1973, during the construction of a road near the Korean city of Gyeongju, workers stumbled upon a huge mound of dirt. In fact, they had discovered the largest royal tomb ever found in the southern Korean kingdom of Sila, which flourished from around 57 BC to 935 AD. Known as the Haeunyeong Royal Tomb, archaeologists spent 2 years excavating the site, revealing a large underground burial chamber filled with priceless artifacts. Among them, a magnificent golden crown, a pair of ritual vessels, bronze mirrors, and more than 1,000 gold and silver coins. But it was what was written on the coins that truly captured the attention of researchers. Inscribed on one side of each coin was a 4-digit number and a Chinese character representing one of the 5 elements: water, fire, wood, metal, and earth. While historians knew that the Silla kings were fond of Chinese culture, they didn't know why these particular symbols were used. Then in 2016, after examining dozens of these coins, a team of researchers cracked the code. Each set of numbers represents a year, and each symbol corresponds to a different month. When decoded, the inscriptions indicated that one of the Silla kings had died in 802 CE in the 8th month, which corresponds to September of our calendar. But that's not all. Once the team decoded the language on the coins, they realized that one of them contained an ominous prediction. The inscription on one of the coins warns, "Heaven abandons the king," which is exactly what happened. Only 1 month after the king's death, he was succeeded by his son. The message was clear. The Silla kings believed that the gods themselves chose who would be ruler. This discovery sheds light on the beliefs of one of Korea's most influential dynasties, as well as how ancient civilizations used inscriptions to communicate important messages across time. Number 3. The Japanese Tsunami stones. In Japan, there are 12 strange stone monuments standing along the coast that bear mysterious glyphs. They are called doomsday stones, or tsunami stones. No one knows for sure who erected them, when they were built, or even what they say. But that hasn't stopped experts from trying to unlock their secrets. Some scholars claim that the stones were erected in the 18th century to warn locals of the danger of tsunamis. This warning makes sense because Japan is an island nation prone to earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, which often cause devastating tsunamis. However, others argue that the stones have nothing to do with natural disasters and instead were built to mark the sites where Buddhist monks performed rituals to protect the area from evil spirits. What's really interesting is that the markings on the stones seem to confirm either theory. The characters on some stones resemble waves crashing into the shore, which would support the tsunami hypothesis. But other glyphs appear to depict hands holding Buddhist prayer beads, which would fit the spirit warding theory. Unfortunately, there's no way to know for sure what the symbols mean. Experts don't know the language, and there are no historical records that explain their significance. We don't even know who erected the stones. Local folklore attributes their creation to a man named Tsutsukidama, who is said to have roamed Japan in the early 1700s erecting stone monuments. But there's no proof that such a person ever existed. There are a lot of theories about the origin of the stones, but until more evidence is uncovered, we may never know the truth. Number 2. The Maya collapse glyphs. During their heyday between the years 250 and 900 AD, the Maya civilization thrived in what is now southern Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize. They developed an advanced society, complete with a sophisticated writing system, monumental architecture, and a complex understanding of astronomy. But despite their accomplishments, the Maya civilization mysteriously collapsed. Between 800 and 900 AD, most Maya cities were abandoned and their iconic monuments and buildings were left to decay. And as if to emphasize their disappearance, the Maya left behind a series of cryptic glyphs that hint at their demise. Scholars believe that the collapse of the Maya civilization was caused by a combination of factors, including overpopulation, deforestation, drought, and warfare. But a series of glyphs carved into monuments throughout the region offer a more personal perspective on their downfall. One of the most famous examples is the long count calendar at the site of Tikal, which ends abruptly in the year 9/11/20. This date is often interpreted as a prophecy of the end of the world, but it actually marks the end of the Maya long count calendar, which had been in use since the 3rd century. According to Maya mythology, this date coincided with the end of the present age and the beginning of a new one. Other glyphs found at various Maya sites depict scenes of destruction, such as buildings on fire, crops withering, and animals being consumed by jaguars. These images could be interpreted as an allegory for the collapse of Maya society, with nature itself turning against them. Finally, there's the so-called Danzantes panel from the site of Yaxchilan, which depicts a series of human sacrifices. The panel seems to show a Maya ruler being sacrificed by another ruler, possibly to appease the gods and avert disaster. Though the Maya left behind few written records, their art tells a story of a civilization that knew its time had come and tried everything it could to avoid their fate. Number 1. The Mount Vesuvius eruption graffiti. You probably already know about Pompeii. It was a Roman city that was destroyed by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE. The ruins of the city, which were preserved under layers of volcanic ash, have provided an unparalleled window into life in the ancient world. Archaeologists have uncovered everything from frescoes and mosaics to jewelry and everyday objects, giving us a glimpse into the daily lives of the people who lived there. But one of the most fascinating things about Pompeii is the graffiti that was left behind. The residents of Pompeii were not shy about sharing their thoughts on their city walls. They wrote about politics, business, love, and even their own mortality. And nowhere is this more evident than in the graffiti left behind in the shadow of Mount Vesuvius. In the months leading up to the eruption, people wrote about their hopes for the new year, their anxieties about the rumbling volcano, and even predictions of the impending doom. One particularly haunting piece of graffiti reads, "Beware of the mountain," while another says, "The earth trembles." Though the people of Pompeii never got to see their final warning, we can be grateful that their writings survived. This gives us a unique insight into the thoughts and feelings of people who lived through one of history's most famous disasters. Studying their reactions to the eruption can help us better understand the impact of such events and the importance of being prepared. And you thought teenagers today were the only ones who left silly graffiti on the walls. Thanks for watching. Which of these ancient warnings was the most intriguing? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like these. See you next time. Bye.